Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Meralco Power Up Live, empowering your business journey. Meralco Power Up Live is a webinar series which aims to power businesses through energy services and solutions. I am Gian Zapata, and I will be your host for this afternoon. With summer already here and temperature rising, power consumption historically increases by 15 to 27% as compressors of cooling appliances work harder and we use these appliances longer. High power demand may lead to tighter power supply and power interruptions. To help you manage energy consumption and ensure interrupted operations this summer season, we have invited distinguished guest speakers from the Department of Energy who will update us on the power supply outlook and discuss the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act. We also have experts from Meralco and our subsidiary MServe who will share energy management practices and solutions to help you further manage your electricity consumption and bill. You can always rely on Meralco and its trusted partners to empower your business through any season and any challenge. Before we proceed with today's presentations, I just want to check how you guys are doing. So literally, let's do a temperature check. So can you type in the chat what is the thermostat setting of your aircon right now? So let us know how cold or how hot it is right now in your office. So I can see answers. We have 22, 23, 24. Wow, 18. Masyadong malamig. Well, actually here in our location right now, it's at 23, being the most energy saving temperature setting. So, all right. So, I hope you guys are comfortable during all throughout this webinar session. So, again, based on the responses, the lowest temperature setting we got is 18 degrees Celsius. So, is that too hot or just right? So, later, Engineer Cholo of Meralco Power Lab will give us some aircon tips. So, thank you for participating in that quick poll. So, I hope that you will stay tuned and remain engaged throughout the webinar. But before we move on with our program, we would like to remind everyone to find a good spot where your internet signal is strong. We don't want you to miss out on our interesting discussions. If you have comments or questions about the presentations, please go ahead and type them in the Q&A tab so we can address this during our panel discussion. Should you have account-related concerns, you may send your message through the link that we will send in our chat box. And to add fun to our Power Up Live session, as in our past editions, we will be playing a trivia challenge at the end of this webinar. So just make sure to listen attentively so you can answer the questions at the end of each presentation. So our lucky winners will receive special prizes from Meralco. And with that, let's get this webinar officially started. To formally welcome everyone to today's Meralco Power Up Live webinar, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the head of Meralco Biz, Engineer Roberto Galang.
Good afternoon, everyone. A warm welcome to Director Patrick Aquino and Mr. Mark Maruliano from the Department of Energy. It is truly an honor to have you join us today. I am pleased to welcome all of you to the Meralco Power Up Live webinar, designed to empower businesses with the right energy services and solutions. At Meralco, we are committed to helping businesses not just survive, but thrive, to providing reliable power and sharing effective energy management practices. Today, experts from Meralco and MServe will share practical tips and solutions to help you manage your energy consumption more efficiently. With an anticipated increase in power demand over the coming months, being prepared is essential to ensure your businesses operate efficiently. The insights you'll gain today are key to ensuring the smooth operation and success of your business. We are excited to equip you with valuable knowledge and to have an insightful discussion ahead. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to a productive session.
Thank you very much, Sir Obet. So indeed, Meralco is your end-to-end energy solutions partner for your business. So let us now call in our guest speaker for today, who will be giving us an update on the power supply outlook. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome the Supervising Science Research Specialist from the Electric Power Industry Management Bureau of the Department of Energy, Mr. Mark Maroliano.
Thank you, Gian, and thank you, Meralco, for inviting the Department of Energy in your Meralco Power Up Live for your customers here in Meralco franchise area. So again, I'm Engineer Mark Christian Maroliano, Supervising Science Research Specialist from the Department of Energy under the Electric Power Industry Management Bureau. And on behalf of our director, Irma C. Exconde, I'm pleased to provide insights on the Luzon Power Outlook for the benefit of our customers here in Meralco. So let me go first with our next slide. On our slide. So we'll just have two items in our outline, in our presentation. First, power statistics, and later we'll go the deep dive on the power. But first, let me introduce the Department of Energy to everyone. The Department of Energy is located here in BGC Taguig as the main office, and we have three other offices located in Pangasinan, Cebu, and in Davao. The Department of Energy is mandated to prepare, integrate, coordinate, supervise, and control all plans, programs, projects, and activities of the government relative to energy exploration, development, utilization, distribution, and conservation, especially here in the electric power industry. So after that, let me give everyone a bit of a Power 101, especially on the supply and demand balancing. So shown on the screen is just an illustration of a weighing scale showing the demand and the supply of a system. So we all know that the power system should have a balance or stable balance system in order to have a stable and reliable operation. So here in this slide, we are seeing a balanced power system having an equal demand of 100 megawatts, just for illustration purposes only. And on the other side is we have various sources of energy from different technologies, from conventional and also from RE, so with a total of 100 megawatts. So that's the ideal setup of our grid or our power system. So if there will be imbalance in the system, like for example, the supply has decreased its output, say a power plant lost its capacity due to an outage, so there will be an imbalance in the system wherein there's an undersupply leading to under frequency and under voltage. So this will lead to us to an unstable power supply. So in order for us to have balanced supply, the NGCP, the system operator, along with the distribution utilities like Meralco, will have to conduct load dropping to balance the system so that the supply of 80 megawatts will have an equivalent of 80 megawatts of demand from the load side. So reduction of demand will lead to balance supply and demand in the power system. Same goes with if ever we have on the other side oversupply in the system, wherein like for example during the off-peak period wherein the demand is not that high, so there's oversupply in the system, and it may lead to overfrequency and overvoltage. So still it will lead to unstable power supply. So in order to balance that, we have to reduce the output of the power plant from 100 megawatts. It will the power all the power plants in coordination with NGCP will reduce their output to just 50% in order to balance the demand of 50 megawatts on the other side. So that's how supply balance works in our power system. Another basic concepts before we go through the outlook we'd like to share to you is how the consumers behave in terms of their demand consumption all throughout the day. So shown on the screen is the typical 24-hour load profile showing the demand per hour or per time interval of all the consumers. Like for example, here in Meralco, all throughout the day. So we all know that there are consumers like the industrial sector that has 24/7 operation, and they will need stable and stable power supply all throughout the day. And commercial and residential will provide the needed demand for the rest of the period. Like for example, at the start of the day, during pag po madaling araw or there's no activity during that period, makikita po natin na mababa po ang demand pag madaling araw. But at the start of the day, starting 6 a.m., 7 a.m., diyan na po nag-start yung yung mga activities sa residential, also sa commercial area, sa mga offices, schools, nag-i-start na po yung increase yung activities. That's why nag-increase na po yung electricity consumption natin. Pagpatak po ng alas 10, other commercial establishments like malls are already in operation. So makikita po natin na lalong tumaas po yung consumption natin. And also during the noon time wherein mataas po ang temperature during this period, kaya po tumataas po yung electricity consumption natin during this period, which leads also to a higher demand. And then after that, bababa na po yan. 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., bababa na po yan. 4 p.m. dahil mababa na rin po yung activities sa mga residential and commercial area sector. Like umuwi na po yung mga estudyante sa eskwelahan, sa kanilang bahay. Ganun din po yung mga empleyado sa kanilang mga opisina. And then it will slightly increase a bit in the evening. There will be an evening peak because there's activity in the mostly sa residential. And then after that, bababa na po ulit siya. And then it will continue again the cycle from magre-restart na po yung cycle natin sa load profile. That's how our load profile works dito po. Typical 24-hour load profile works. Also, aside from a 24-hour load profile, let me show you how our demand naman behaves in 1 year. So shown on the screen is the daily load profile in 1 year, showing that in different season or different period of the year, we have a high demand and low demand. As at the start of the year, like for example, nung bagong taon, we have the lowest demand recorded in the system for the Luzon grid, for example. And then it will increase pag meron na pong pagdating na po ng ng summer period, dahil nga po hot weather will lead to higher temperature, thus it will increase the electricity demand in the system. And also, way back in last year, if you will remember, we had an El Nino phenomenon that increases the demand we have all-time high demand last year of 14,016 megawatts of electricity demand recorded for the Luzon grid. So the one factor of attributed on that is the El Nino phenomenon dahil nga po mainit nga po last year. And then also, pag meron pong mga sakuna, like for example, shown on this, nasa gitna po yung Super Typhoon Karina or international name Gaming, which affected the Luzon grid. Nagkaroon po tayo ng dip dyan ng demand. So makikita po natin na pagbaba ng demand pag meron din po sakuna dahil po natatamaan din, naapektuhan po yung power system natin, especially yung distribution sector, which will lead to a lower demand during this period until such time na ma-restore po yan ng ating mga distribution utilities like Meralco. And also, yan, pagdating na ng fourth quarter, yan, bababa na yung demand dahil nga po usually malamig na po yung panahon that time. So cold weather will lead to low temperature, thus we will have a lower electricity demand during this period. So that's how the demand behaves for the entire Luzon system for 2024. So before that, so we can now go to the statistics that we have prepared for the reference of everyone. That as I have mentioned earlier, Luzon has already has a all-time high recorded demand of 14,016 megawatts of demand. That's 73% of the total demand of the total Philippines. Aside from that, Visayas has a recorded demand of 2,681 megawatts of demand as 2024. That's attributed to 40% of the total demand of the Philippines. And for Mindanao, it's 2,577 megawatts. That's 13% of the total. So all in all, that's 19,274 megawatts on the total peak demand of the Luzon grid. So far, we haven't reached that the demand that we encountered last year. So yung naka-highlight po ng red, that's the 2025 year-to-date peak demand po natin ngayon. So far, nasa 12,500 megawatts po ang Luzon grid, with less than 1,500 less of the peak demand last year, and 2,400 for Visayas, and almost 2,500 for Mindanao. Also, shown on the screen is the capacity mix of the total Philippines, showing that we are already at 29,700 megawatts of installed capacity all in all in the Philippines. That's composed of conventional technologies, coal, oil, gas, and natural gas, and also renewable energy, geothermal, hydro, solar, biomass, and wind. So that's 29,700 megawatts of installed capacity, operational and existing here in the Philippines on grid. And on top of that, we have 634 megawatts of energy storage system or ESS that provides support to the ancillary services and provides stability and reliability in the system. So as we can see here in the pie chart, so we are the capacity mix dominated by the what you call this, the fossil base, usually the coal, natural gas, and oil. So yun po ang current mix natin ngayon for the entire Philippines. And also on the left side, just to highlight, these are the projects that have already been operational, the transmission projects being constructed and built by NGCP, the Hermosa San Jose 500 kV transmission line, Negros Panay, Cebu Negros Panay transmission project, and also the MVIP or Mindanao Visayas Interconnection Project, which all of them were commercially operationalized last year, 2024. So that's a short yeah, info on the power statistics. Let's go now to the outlook of the Luzon grid. So we have prepared two scenarios for the outlook, showing the reserve profile or the reserve margin of the entire grid, meaning it's already the difference or the net of the total available capacity of all power plants available in the grid, the Luzon grid, and minus the projected system peak demand of the system for the entire 52 weeks of 2025. So shown on the screen as the summary of the scenario of the two scenarios. So factoring in the following assumptions: the GOMP or the Grid Operating Maintenance Program being implemented by NGCP. So these are the schedule of the preventive maintenance shutdown of the power plants for them to conduct their maintenance activity. Also, forced outage assumptions are also considered in this outlook. Committed power projects are also considered. Later, we go to that in details. And HVDC import-export are also considered. So first scenario, we have our reference scenario, wherein we are expecting no alert level, 0 red alert and 0 yellow alert in the Luzon grid. For reference 2, for scenario 2, I mean, considering the situation right now that we have two plants in Batangas, the SPPC Ilihan and Excellent Energy Resources in also in Batangas, both are running in LNG. So they are having a limited output of 1,350 megawatts. So if they will be available only they will be at this level until May 15 or the mid of May. So what will be the resulting reserve margin of the grid? So based on our simulation, we will be expecting two possible yellow alerts in the Luzon grid. We are expecting to have it on week 19 to 20. Later, we'll go to that in details. But first, let me just quickly go through with the summary of the committed capacity, wherein the Department of Energy is closely monitoring the development of this project, both conventional and renewable energy. So right now, for 2025, we are expecting 4,800 megawatts of capacity. 1,200 of that, 1,250 plus of that are in test and commissioning. So we are expecting that these are already in coordination with NGCP and in their final stage before their commercial operation this year. And hopefully in 2026, we are also expecting more capacity. So on top of the 4,800 megawatts, we are seeing 4,600 megawatts of additional capacity in 2026. All of them are from the renewable energy. And for 2027, 952 megawatts, also coming from the renewable energy resources. So also, we are also seeing battery energy storage that are coming starting 2025, 280 megawatts in 2025 and 56 for 2026. So shown on the screen are the projects that are being monitored by the Department of Energy that are expected to be commercially available or operational based on their scheduled target commercial operation date. So nakaplat na po yan and expecting that they will be available as scheduled. So out of that, so right now, yung total capacity po na total capacity addition as of March 2025, about 780 plus megawatts of capacity were already in commercial operation. And again, we are still expecting 4,800 megawatts of additional capacity that is still under committed stage, or they are still on their construction and development, and others are in test and commissioning stage this year. But we are hoping that they will be available and they will provide capacity to the grid, to the Luzon grid this year. So on top of that, aside from the generation, there should be transmission facilities that will support this power plant, especially the dedicated transmission lines that will serve as highway to this generation facility. So these are the power transmission projects that are being monitored by the DOE in coordination with NGCP, that is expected to be available and operationalized by 2025. The South Luzon Substation upgrading project that is expected to be completed this month, April 2025. The TUI 230 kV stage 1 project in June 2025, and Taguig 500 kV substation project at the end of the year, December 2025. So all in all, factoring in all the committed projects that that's listed on the previous slide, which is represented by the blue bar graph. So again, this is the reserve margin that we are looking to and serves as the reference for the power sector if we are expecting any red and yellow alert in the system. So just to explain this further. So pag yung reserve margin po natin ay nasa yung bar graph, which is composed of the existing and the committed power projects, yung green at saka yung blue bar graph, it falls below the red line or the required regulating reserve. That's the time that we will be NGCP will announce. We are expecting red alert on that week. If the reserve level is is below the yellow line, so that's the time that we are expecting yellow alert notice. Just to explain, so pag yellow alert po, it serves as a warning to the system. There's the contingency reserve requirement is less than the required in the system, meaning but there's no manual load dropping during yellow alert. But if the NGCP will announce red alert, meaning that it means that the contingency reserve or the reserve margin of the system of the Luzon grid is already depleted, meaning zero. And with this, there's expected manual load dropping or MLD, and it will lead to a rotating brownout in the system. So if it will fall po sa red or yellow line, so yun po, the time na mag-announce po si NGCP ng yellow and red alert. Or below, if the reserve margin is above the yellow line and even above the black line, that's the time that we can say that the system is in normal condition, meaning we have the reserve margin is sufficient, thus we don't have any alert level. So as shown in the screen on the reference 1, as of week 13 in our simulation, factoring in all assumptions that I have mentioned earlier, we are seeing that there's no yellow alert and no red alert in the system, considering that we will expect demand of 40,769 megawatts of peak demand this 2025 at week 19. That's meaning the highest for 2025. But still, with the demand expected demand. So we are seeing that the system has sufficient reserve level at this point. All throughout the period for the rest of 2025. Okay, for the next second scenario, that as I have mentioned, we are monitoring the development of the two power plants one existing, the SPPC Ilihan, and one on testing and commissioning, the EERI. Both are located in Batangas and both are using liquefied natural gas. So they are still on the testing. Both are having concerns on the supply of their LNG. That's why the output of both power plants are limited to 1,350 megawatts for both power plants. So if we factor this in the outlook, especially during the period until May, mid of May, which is very crucial because we'll be having an election this coming May, on May 12, and it will hit or make on the week 20 of our outlook. So we are seeing the two possible yellow alerts during these 2 weeks, week 19 and week 20. So any changes on the completion, if there are projects that will be completed online and ahead of their schedule, which we hope that this will help us in increasing the reserve level on an earlier period para po maiwasan po natin itong yellow alert. Those are the things na titignan po natin dito sa DOE and also in coordination with NGCP. And also the demand, we are also monitoring the demand. Hopefully, if ever we won't hit that the demand gaya na po nangyari last year, because we have El Nino last year, we had the peak demand earlier than the expected period. So hopefully this year we don't have any El Nino situation. So we hope na yung demand natin during this period makatulong. We will have enough if there will be less demand as expected, we will have additional reserve level. Thus, we will avoid this yellow alert during this period on week 19 and week 20. So yun po, that's our outlook for the Luzon grid. It's very medyo marami nang nakalagay dito sa outlook natin, but hopefully you get the point on the how the Department of Energy is monitoring and evaluating the situation if we will have yellow alert and red alert per week. So yun po. So that's our last slide. So if there are questions or inquiries, feel free to email us at EPIMB. And also, let me just promote our latest publication, the Power Development Plan. If this will be this is a guidebook for all our stakeholders, including the customers of Meralco. In understanding the needed capacity of the Philippines and the needed demand or the demand forecast in the future. So it's included in the Power Development Plan for covering the period of 2023 to 2050. So it's available in our DOE website. So before I end, let me also encourage everyone that later we'll be having the presentation of Director Patrick on energy efficiency. So we enjoin every participants to observe energy efficiency and energy efficiency and conservation measures para po makatulong po tayo sa system po natin, and also There will be, if there are other DSM or demand side management program that Meralco is promoting, like ILP, TOUs. So we hope that you will be joining with their program as well. So with that, on behalf of the entire Department of Energy, maraming pong salamat sa pakikinig, at we hope that we enlighten everyone on the outlook for the Luzon grid. So maraming pong salamat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Maroliano. So it is very informative to know that we have a good outlook, power outlook for year 2025. So for those of you who may want a copy of Engineer Maroliano's presentation, a recording of this webinar will be uploaded on the Meralco website. So once the link is available, it will be shared with all our registered attendees. Also, if you have comments or questions on the presentations, please go ahead and type them on the Q&A tab. We will address them later during our panel discussion. Meanwhile, it's time to play a quick trivia challenge. So we will be asking a question based on Engineer Maroliano's presentation. So for you to answer, just type in the chat box the correct answer. So whoever sends in the correct answer ahead of everyone will win a special prize. So listen up. Here now is our first trivia question. There are 3 hours in a day when electricity consumption is at its peak. Name one. So again, for our first trivia question, there are 3 hours in a day when electricity consumption is at its peak. Name one. So go ahead and type in your answer now. First one to send the correct answer wins a prize. Good luck. So ang bibilis. Actually, binabasa pala yung question. I can see answers already. Okay, so with that, here are the correct answers for our first trivia question. So keep them coming. So merong mga nauna na. So for our morning peak, it's at 11 o'clock a.m. For the afternoon peak, it's at 2 o'clock p.m. For the evening peak, it's at 7 o'clock p.m. So the winner for this round will be announced at the end of the program. So kindly stay with us until the end of the program. Okay, so let's move on now to our next speaker who will be discussing Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome the Director of the Energy Utilization Management Bureau of the Department of Energy, Director Patrick Aquino.
Good day, I'm Director Patrick T. Aquino from the Energy Utilization Management Bureau of the Department of Energy, DOE. I will discuss the plans and programs under Republic Act 11285 or the Energy Efficiency and Conservation EEC Act. Under the EEC Act, the DOE aims to institutionalize EEC as a national way of life through policies, programs, and regulations. Significant strides have been made in implementing the EEC Act with 62 policy issuances covering key programs, which include the Philippine Energy Labeling Program, PELP, Government Energy Management Program, GEMP, certification of energy efficiency practitioners, recognition of training institutions, and endorsement of energy efficiency projects for fiscal incentives. Under the EEC Act, the DOE developed the National EEC Plan, NEECP, and Roadmap 2023-2050. The NEECP 2023-2050 is a strategic framework to guide the implementation of EEC initiatives across all sectors, including short, medium, and long-term plans, programs, and targets or carbon emission reductions. Flash on screen are the GHG emission target reductions for the various sectors such as government, commercial, residential, industrial, transport, and utilities, as well as end-use sector. Part of the EEC Act is the Philippine Energy Labeling Program, PELP, that promotes informed decisions of consumers when buying various energy-consuming products such as lighting and home appliances by providing important performance information through the labeling system. Under the PELP, the Minimum Energy Performance for Products, MEPP, sets energy efficiency performance requirements, ensuring that products meet minimum energy saving criteria. PELP enhances energy security by fostering a competitive market for energy-efficient appliances and encouraging a shift towards a more sustainable technology. Currently, PELP covers refrigerators, air conditioning units, lighting products, television sets, electric fans, washing machines, and energy-saving devices with plans to expand further. The DOE issues an energy label to products that pass MEPP standards and register with the PELP online system. The label includes a star rating system for easy comparison for product details, estimated energy consumption, and a QR code for additional specification. To maintain accuracy, post-market verification is conducted through recognized testing laboratories. Under DOE Department Circular DC 2022-03-005, providing the guidelines for local testing lab recognition and performance testing and verification. Since August 12 of 2021, the DOE has issued 2,884 energy labels, approved 9,318 project registrations, issued 3,084 certificates of exemption, for a total of 25,478 approved registrations and certifications. To assist in cutting down GHG emissions in the public sector, the Government Energy Management Program, GEMP, is being implemented with the aim to reduce monthly electricity and fuel consumption by at least 10% through efficiency and conservation for both fuel and electricity. This reduction in both fuel and electricity consumption may be done through simple non-investment energy-saving measures or through government energy efficiency projects, GEEP. GEEPs include switching to energy-efficient lighting, upgrading to inverter technology, and installation of solar photovoltaic PV system. It is worth noting that prior to the approval of the EEC Act, only 3,688 government entities, national government agencies, government-owned and controlled corporations, and state universities and colleges were covered under the GEMP. At the end of 2024, the DOE has conducted 1,135 energy spot checks, 1,396 energy audits. The total cumulative GEMP electricity savings and GEMP fuel savings are 32,897 megawatt-hour and 576,762 liters respectively. Designated establishments or DEs are energy-intensive entities under the commercial, industrial, and transport sectors that are required to implement energy management systems, monitor energy consumption, improve energy efficiency, submit reports, undergo energy audits, and employ energy efficiency practitioners. Shown are the classification of DEs based on their annual consumption. For 2024, DEs reported 696 gigawatt-hours in energy savings valued at 5 billion pesos, with an estimated 495,989 metric ton of CO2 reduction, significantly aiding GHG mitigation. These reports are officially submitted to the DOE through the DE online submission portal by the April 2024 deadline. The DOE has received 5,345 reports from 3,440 commercial, 1,970 industrial, and 35 transport DEs. Collectively, they have invested 5 billion pesos in energy efficiency projects, contributing to substantial cost savings and sustainability efforts. Energy service companies, ESCOs, play a critical role in implementing energy management systems and energy efficiency projects to reduce their clients' demand for energy and contribute to reduction in GHG emission. ESCOs offer multi-technology services and goods towards developing and designing energy efficiency projects, delivering and guaranteeing energy savings, and ensuring cost-effective and optimal performance. DOE classifies ESCOs as registered or certified. Registered ESCOs are those who meet the minimum requirement for legal and technical capacity with their certificates valid for 3 years. Certified ESCOs, on the other hand, are those who, aside from meeting the minimum requirements for legal and technical capacity, have proven performance for results-based project savings. The certificate for Certified ESCO is valid for 5 years. The obligations of ESCOs include annual submission of project reports, provide support for coordination and monitoring to EUMB for projects undertaken, being subjected and their projects to independent verification, and other requirements that may be required for the attainment of the objectives of the EEC Act. With the energy efficiency projects under ESCOs, they have collectively invested approximately 6.45 billion pesos, resulting in an estimated annual savings of 610 gigawatt hours, equivalent to 438 metric tons of CO2 avoidance, again significantly contributing to the reduction in GHG emission. The EEC Act offers non-fiscal incentives through the Energy Efficiency Excellence EEE Awards, serving as a platform to motivate both private and public sectors in adopting EEC to enhance business development through energy efficiency. At the same time, the EEE Awards aim to recognize all energy-related projects, including renewable energy and other energy-efficient technologies, energy-efficient building designs, and best practices on energy efficiency and conservation under its 4 main categories. The 2024 EEE Awards commence with the official call for entries posted across DOE platforms. The EEE Validation Committee received a total of 562 entries from both the private and public sector, 385 for industries and large buildings, 142 for outstanding EE practitioners and entities, and 21 entries for special awards. These entries were carefully evaluated by the EEE Awards Validation Committee, ending up with 75 qualified entries. On December 12, 2024, the EEE Awards was held. 18 out of 562 entities from both private and government entities were recognized and awarded for their outstanding execution of energy efficiency initiatives, as well as their innovative approach and practices towards EEC. The DOE collaborates with stakeholders to implement a national awareness and advocacy program for EEC and renewable energy technologies through initiatives like You Have the Power Campus Caravan held across schools in the country. The DOE raises awareness on EEC, highlighting the importance of conserving energy, utilizing renewable energy sources, and promoting electric vehicles (EVs) as a sustainable transportation option. Let's all do our part to adopt EEC as our national way of life. Remember that you have the power. Energy efficiency starts with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Patrick Aquino. So indeed, it is very interesting to know that DOE has a lot of programs in support of the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act. Again, to get a copy of Director Patrick's presentation, please wait for the recording of this webinar to be uploaded on the Meralco website. If you have questions for Director Patrick, please send them in through our Q&A tab. In the meantime, here's another trivia challenge lifted from his presentation. Again, be ready to type in your answer in the chat box. Here's our trivia question number 2. So give one appliance or equipment covered by the Philippine Energy Labeling Program, or the PELP. So again, for our trivia question number 2, give one appliance or equipment covered by the Philippine Energy Labeling Program, or PELP. So go ahead and type in your answer now. First one to send the correct answer wins the prize. So it seems that our audience are very receptive of the presentations that we have. Hindi pa tapos yung question mabasa, marami ng sagot. Okay, so for our answers to this trivia question number 2, actually marami. So first we have refrigerator, aircon units, lighting products, TVs, electric fans, washing machines, and lastly, energy-saving devices. So once again, thank you for your participation. We will announce the winner by the end of the program. Up next, our speaker will share energy management practices and strategies. Please welcome Meralco's Power Lab Manager, Engineer Cholo Pabilona.
Thank you, Gian, for the introduction. And good afternoon again to everyone. And this afternoon presentation, I will share some tips on managing energy usage for your businesses. Okay, managing your business energy consumption can be easy if you understand how it's done. Here, we present the energy management pyramid. Today, we will go through its 5 levels, which will helpfully guide you in managing your business's energy consumption. For the first level, we have the energy assessment. So the first step provides an opportunity to evaluate how your business uses energy before identifying and implementing measures. It is recommended to conduct an energy audit to help you understand your situation more completely in order to set priorities. So energy audit can be done both internal and external. For the internal audit, if you already have an energy efficiency and conservation committee, you can conduct a regular preliminary baselining of your energy consumption in order to set your targets or yung ating conservation targets. And then another one is in order to comply with the EENC law, you need to conduct an energy audit in your company every 3 years to be submitted every April 15th together with your annual energy utilization report. So this can be done by tapping your certified energy auditor or an accredited ESCO. After completing the energy assessment, we can now go to the next level, which is the energy management pyramid, which is energy conservation. So energy conservation offers the best return on investment because it largely entails behavioral or operational practices at no or minimal cost. This usually involves controlling the consumption of your appliances and equipment. In order to give you one specific example of energy conservation at work, is for those who have multiple motor load in your facility, especially for those who are under GSB and above category. Avoid starting all of your motor load at once. So this includes air conditioning unit, motor pumps, escalators, and other motor loads in your production. So by distributing or by not starting all of this at the same time, you can distribute the inrush current of your facility, which affects your peak demand. So if you already have reduction in your peak demand, therefore you can reduce your demand charges for the month. Another tip that I can share with you is setting up a schedule for turning off appliances and equipment in your office. So we always remind our employees to shut down or unplug unused computers and other appliances after office hours. So we've conduct a testing for a 10 computers lang po sa ating isang office space, and it generates actually around 22.3 pesos na phantom load or yung bumper load na tinatawag natin sa facilities. So imagine if you have more than 100 computers or if you have other appliances po na nakakabit pa sa ating outlets kahit after office hours na, mas malaki yung pwede nating matipid just by unplugging or itong simple lang na tip na i-unplug lang natin yung mga equipment. Another tip na nakita namin is with the water dispenser. So yung behavior kasi ng water dispenser is even though wala nang gumagamit or walang kumukuha ng tubig, yung water tank reservoir niya is nagkukul pa rin ng ating tubig. And kapag in-unplug natin to during nighttime, kung kailan wala namang gumagamit ng ating dispenser, you can save up to 47%, which is around 1,300 pesos per month. Ito ay sinimulate po using 10 units lang ng ating dispenser. So kung mas malaki yung office space natin at mas marami kayong mga unit, mas malaki yung opportunity natin to save on our energy consumption. For the next tip is just by turning off our hour lights during lunch break, especially if meron naman pa kayong pantry area for lunchtime, you can save up to 2.56 pesos per hour. So times 30 natin yan, and ginawa natin to simulation nito sa isang 50 square meter office space lang. So kung mas malaki po yung ating office area or mas maraming area yung pwede nating patayin during lunchtime, mas malaki po yung pwede nating ma-generate na savings monthly. And another tip po na pwede nating i-apply not just sa ating offices, even sa ating mga bahay, is just by avoid turning off po yung ating air conditioning units kung aalis tayo just for not more than an hour. So based sa testing na ginawa namin, kung hindi naman po kayo lalagpas ng 1 hour sa aalis dun sa area, better po na i-keep natin yung air conditioning running, especially yung mga inverter units natin. So bakit po? Kapag kasi pinatay natin yung ating air conditioning units, iinit ulit yung kwarto, and kapag bumalik tayo, tatakbo ulit yung ating air conditioning units at full capacity. So just by doing that simple tip, pwede na kayo kagad makatipid ng up to 35% sa inyong consumption dun sa ating air conditioning unit. Another tip po is yung kapag ang office time naman natin is until 5 p.m. lang, you can turn off po yung ating mga units minutes or even an hour before para po magkaroon tayo ng reduction sa ating energy consumption. So ito po is depende naman doon sa ating insulation level and syempre yung environment ng ating offices. So kung kaya siya ng within an hour, better po para mas malaki yung savings. Pero kung hindi naman at mabilis uminit sa inyong area, you can reduce it by 30 minutes or 15 minutes. Another tip po na pwede natin gawin sa ating office is always put our air conditioning unit at the optimal level. So ang unang tip po dyan is always put it in the center of the room, kung saan po less din yung obstruction. And then install po yung proper height po dun sa ating mga air conditioning units. So this include for window type, at least 3 to 4 feet from the floor. For split types naman, pwede siya sa mas mataas na at least 7 to 8 feet from the floor. And then importante rin po na lagi tayong mag-iiwan ng 15 cm na air gap para po, from our ceiling para po dun sa ating airflow. For the next tip, ito po is just by changing yung ating setting ng ating refrigerator para sa mga pantry, and lalo na po doon sa mga business na gumagamit talaga ng refrigerator and freezers, it is better po to always put it at mid setting compared to high. So based on our different testing sa Power Lab, we found out na more than you can save up to 49% po ng ating energy consumption just by turning it off, dial down or doon sa ating mid setting. You can also apply po yung ating refrigerator kahit sa ating mga bahay, no? Yung just by switching the setting. And then another tip that we would like to share is yung following yung ating proper preventive maintenance schedule. So preventive maintenance schedule can help you prolong your equipment life. And of course, kapag kasi po madumi na yung ating mga gamit or hindi na nalinis, bumababa rin at the same time yung ating energy efficiency. So may iwasan din natin yung mga unwanted downtime, mababawasan natin yung risk of injury, decrease in reactive maintenance. So ito yung pag nasira na, saka lang natin siya gagawin, no? Na mostly or mas madalas, mas costly siya compared dun sa regular natin na ginagawang activities lang. So our suggestions for preventive maintenance frequency for electrical facilities, yung complete shutdown and testing at least annual. And then for ACU, CCTV, and UPS, we suggest a quarterly preventive maintenance. Sa ACU, ito po yung full cleaning. So kung split type yan, both indoor and outdoor units yung nililinis natin. And then yung monthly, we have fire protection system and mechanical doors. Pero dito rin papasok yung mga indoor filters ng ating ACU that you should clean at least twice a month, no? Yung recommended natin. Depende rin sa kung gaano ka-heavy natin ginagamit yung air conditioning unit, saka dun sa environment. Kasi minsan pag talagang madumi dun sa area, mas prone siya, mas mabilis dumumi, and bumababa yung ating efficiency kapag kasi nabablock na yung airflow sa ating mga filters. So if energy conservation measures are not enough to meet your goals, so tapos na tayo sa behavioral change, you can move forward to the energy efficiency, which usually includes yung paggamit ng new technology or mag-i-invest ka na sa bagong gamit for our offices in order to reduce yung energy use. But before we move forward doon, balikan ko lang tong pinatanong din ni Sir Gian kanina in the start of our presentation, which is yung proper aircon temperature setting. So nakita natin kanina may mga sumagot ng 18, actually may next 16 and 14 pa, which masyado na po siyang mababa doon sa recommended natin, which is 23 to 25 degrees Celsius. Yun po yung tinatawag natin na comfort cooling. So sa comfort cooling, ito po yung hindi mo kailangan mag-jacket or hindi mo kailangan mag-blanket doon sa area kasi tama lang yung lamig doon sa kwarto. Kasi ang iniiwasan natin, pag masyadong malamig nga, nasasayang din yung ginagamit nating energy dahil binabawi lang din natin with the hotter clothes or yung mga ibang gamit na inaayos pa natin during cold temperature. And just by switching po from 18 to 25, you can save up to 50% sa inyong energy consumption. Lalo na po dun sa mga may 14 degrees. So based sa testing namin, umaabot pa yan ng actually 70% reduction pag binaba mo siya to 25 degrees setting, which is yung pinaka-ideal natin. So another item po na pwede natin gamitin is the use of motion sensor or dimmer sa ating mga ilaw, no? So para dun sa mga areas na hindi naman lagi may tao, such as CR, stairways, yung mga storage areas natin, you can install a motion sensor light para po lagi siyang mag-off kapag hindi ginagamit. And then para naman dun sa mga hallways na hindi pwedeng mawala ng ilaw, you can actually utilize even yung mga dimmers para may mare-retain pa rin na light dun sa area, pero kapag may tumaan, liliwanag siya to increase yung ambience sa yung safety dun sa location. For businesses, you can also utilize different IoT devices para po mas mapaganda natin yung ating monitoring and control ng mga equipment. So para po dun sa mga malalaki yung areas na ginagamit, you could utilize a BMS to automate po yung pag-on and off ng mga equipment, yung mga air conditioning units natin, mga ilaw, para po naka-timer na siya and automatic na po siyang gagana according dun sa ating plans. And you could also install yung mga energy monitoring system, yung mga smart devices natin to monitor your power consumption para po mas madali natin ma-identify saan tayo pwede magkaroon ng room for improvement. Kasi kung wala tayong way to measure, hindi rin natin mababalidate kung effective ba yung ating energy conservation measures na ini-implement. And hindi natin makikita kung saan pa tayo merong opportunity to correct. So another tip po is replacing of old air conditioning units. So medyo typical kasi sa Pinoy, no, sa ating mga Pinoy is yung kapag gumagana pa yung equipment, hindi muna natin siyang papalitan. But based on the study po, talagang mas malaki yung matitipid natin if we use yung mga newer technologies such as inverters. So just by switching from conventional to inverter, you could save up to 70% po dun sa ating energy consumption. Depende dun sa unit and syempre depende dun sa model. And pwede ka rin gumamit ng mga smart or digital thermostat para po real-time makikita rin natin kung ano ba yung actual temperature sa room so you can adjust your air conditioning unit accordingly. You can even automate po yung pag-control ng ating mga air conditioning unit dahil nga sabi ko yung mga bagong lumalabas ngayon na inverter units usually may smart capability na rin siya. So you can connect it to your phone or kung meron kang BMS system para po ma-automate natin yung pag-adjust in order to reach yung maximum energy efficiency. Same with the air conditioning units, you could also apply po dun sa ating chest freezers and chillers, lalo na po dun sa mga nasa food industry or sa mga retail. You can save 28% po kapag nag-convert tayo from non-inverter to inverter chillers. And then kapag naman po sa mga chest freezers, you can save even up to 63%. So makita po natin malaki talaga yung difference niya. Kaya yung ilalabas natin na mas mataas na investment, mabilis naman din siyang mababawi and you can enjoy na po yung savings for the following years. For the next tip po, we have is yung glass top versus hard top cover chest freezers. So based po dito sa study namin, yung glass top cover usually magpo-fall siya around 24 pesos per day yung kanyang consumption. And then kapag naman yung hard top cover na inverter, nasa 10 pesos ka lang per day. So malaki po yung pwede nating matipid just by switching sa hard top cover. Pero syempre, depende pa rin naman dun sa type of business operations natin. So for supermarket or yung mga may retail, it is best to use yung glass top cover natin kasi mas merong parang preview na yung magbubukas ng freezers natin bago niya buksan yung pinaka-rep kasi clear yung kanyang top or yung cover. So iniiwasan kasi dito yung matagal na pagbukas ng mga glass doors kasi mas tataas yung konsumo ng ating freezers. So para naman dun sa mga kunyari restaurant business, nakabisado na nila laman ng kanilang mga freezers, you could use yung hard top cover. Kumbaga, kabisado naman nila yung laman, better siya for cold storage. And yun nga, mas malaki yung pwede nating matipid kapag gumamit tayo ng mga hard top cover. For the next step we have is yung switching to LED lights. So I'm pretty sure halos lahat naman na tayo gumagamit na ng LED lighting. Pero kung meron pang ibang mga naka-CFL, better po to switch na po tayo sa LED light. Bukod kasi dun sa kanyang savings, sa kanyang actual kilowatt hour consumption, na based din sa study namin, yung CFL na mas maraming units, pwede siyang tumbasan ng mas konti na LED. So mas konti yung i-maintain natin na product and at the same time, mas less lalo yung consumption mo kapag gumamit ka ng mga LED bulbs. For another tip po para dun sa mga merong motor loads na yun, nabanggit ko kanina, you could also utilize yung mga variable frequency drives or VFDs. So ito po yung similar din sa inverter technologies na ginagamit sa air conditioning units natin, kung saan binabago yung frequency or yung speed ng motor natin kapag hindi na po kailangan. So as needed lang, tulad sa mga escalators, mapapansin niyo minsan bumabagal yung takbo ng mga escalators or minsan totally at stop pa. So those type of technologies po yung gumagamit ng VFD kung saan ina-adjust nila yung speed ng motor natin as needed doon sa unit. So ganun din sa mga pumps and sa mga pwede siyang gamit sa mga swimming pools and aircons, gumagamit po sila ng VFD to control nga yung ating consumption. So continuing with the energy management pyramid, we are now at the 4th level, which deals with the energy programs to further reduce your energy cost. So in Meralco po, we offer different programs and services in order to manage your bill and your energy consumption. These are the power consult. Second is the power match, power factor adjustment, Meralco online, and pick of peak. But for this afternoon, I'm just going to discuss the two main service, which is the power consult and pick of peak. So with the Power Consult, we can provide free energy consultation for your existing services, which we will dwell further on later. From there, we will guide you on the business expansion plans. For instance, if your business is growing, we may assist you with the site assessment. We may also help you check if your intended sites are already ready with distribution facilities or if can manage yung expansion na gagawin natin. And on top of this, we can also entertain other technical questions that you may have. And again, all of these are included on our free power consultation, and we are very eager to help you and assist you with your business decision. For the next program we have is the Pick Up Pick. For the Pick Up Pick solution, as aligned with the presentation of Sir Mark about the peak demand, we encourage customers to avail yung ating off-peak programs, which is for the program of 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. Monday to Saturdays, and almost the whole Sunday with the exception of 6 to 8 p.m. So basically, sinasabi lang po dito, if we can switch yung ating paggamit ng mga equipment during the off-peak hours, you can enjoy a lower rate in your energy consumption. So as example, dito po sa pinapakita on screen, for the dry season, yung peak rate natin is 7.48 pesos, while yung off-peak natin is 3.5 pesos lang. So yung mga activities na pwede natin gawin during nighttime or during the off-peak hours, better po na isi-switch natin siya for businesses kasi malaki yung pwede nating ma-reduce sa ating energy consumption. And in return naman, natutulungan natin si DOE or yung ating grid para sa pag-adjust naman ng demand versus supply natin. For the last part, we have the energy management pyramid. We have is the use of alternative source of energy, particularly the renewable energy or what we call RE. RE is energy efficient because it uses natural resources such as sunlight, wind, water, and geothermal heat to generate electricity without relying on fossil fuels and as such. And as such, it does not produce harmful emission. Solar power is one of the most common RE sources because it relies on the sun's energy, which is basically present almost everywhere in the world. Through a PV or photovoltaic technology, sunlight is converted to electricity through the use of solar panels. And as long as the sun is shining, solar energy will be available for use. So alam po natin marami na talagang nag-switch din even with their on their residential homes, no? Meron tayong mga solar na installation. So we would just like to share some of the tips. So for the first tip is to know your power needs and purchase the right size. Knowing power needs can be done by listing the appliances that will be running during daytime and calculating their aggregated wattage. With the concept of right sizing, have your solar contractor install the exact panel size to cover the operation of these appliances. So kung madalas naman po kayong wala sa bahay during daytime, lalo na sa weekday, hindi natin dapat i-consider lahat tulad ng mga bedroom na aircon na hindi naman ginagamit during daytime dun sa pagsa-size up natin ng solar panels. And then next is to check the best location of your installation. So bago po natin magpakabit, importante po yung makonsider natin yung shadowing. So kung may katabing mga puno or mas mataas na building yung ating bahay, better po to reassess kung gaano ba kalaki or saang area lang dapat tayo magkabit ng ating solar panel. Kasi pag po natatakpan yung ating solar panels, hindi po nakakapag-generate ng mas magandang, mas malaking capacity yung ating solar panels, magiging useless po yung ating hindi magiging efficient yung paggamit natin ng mga solar panels. And then next is ideally bago po kayo magpakabit ng mga solar panels, no, it is best to consult with your Meralco partners para po makapagbigay kami ng advice on how to choose the right solar provider, and baka mabigyan din po namin kayo ng mga guidelines, especially if you want to apply with net metering program. So for residential and business customers po na may RE installation below 100 kilowatt peak, we can install a net metering dun sa inyong facility where you will be compensated or you will be given credits for the excess electricity production exported back to the grid. And then we also have what we call a zero export solution for customers who have RE that are below their contracted capacity with Meralco and who set it up purely for their own use. So yung zero export naman po, own use talaga tong lahat ng pinoproduce ng ating solar panels. So just by registering with your Meralco through our net metering and zero export solution, you can also get the assurance that your RE installation is compatible with the Meralco grid. For your energy export, this gives you the assurance that it's properly measured and monitored for the compensation we will credit your bill. For both services, we are able to check that your RE investment is safe, stable, and best of all, sustainable. And that covers all of the levels in our energy management pyramid. And I hope that you will be able to implement the necessary measures that will improve your operational efficiency, powering your business towards growth and success. So before I end the presentation, I would just like to share the 5 key takeaways from this presentation. First is the energy is controllable and measurable resource. Second, anything you can measure, you can manage. Third, we are energy efficient if we can do more with less energy consumption. Fourth, some energy efficiency measures do not require cost. And fifth, energy efficiency can be a way of life. That is the end of my presentation. And if you want to know more about different power ideas, and if you want to avail any of the Meralco energy efficiency programs I mentioned earlier, please feel free to contact your designated Meralco Biz partners. Thank you, and we look forward to helping you on your energy efficiency journey. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Engineer Cholo. So indeed, napakaraming tips na pwede natin gawin for us to be energy efficient. So if you have questions for Engineer Cholo, please send them in through the Q&A tab. Meanwhile, here's our trivia question lifted from Engineer Cholo's presentation. So get ready to type your answer in the chat box. So for our trivia question number 3, of the tips discussed by Engineer Cholo, which tip will you immediately apply to your business? Again, for our trivia question number 3, of the tips discussed by Engineer Cholo, which tip will you immediately apply to your business? So go ahead and type in your answer now. First to give an answer wins a prize. Good luck. So mukhang nakinig ang mga audience natin. So I can see all the answers coming in. Marami. So based on the top responses, it's nice to know that you really took note of the tips shared earlier. So once again, thank you for your participation. We will announce the winner at the end of the program, so kindly stay tuned. Our last speaker for today will be sharing with us helpful energy management solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, let's call on the account manager from MServe, Ms. Janet Mirando Arroyo.
Thank you, Gian. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Janet Mirando, Account Manager from Meralco Energy. It's a pleasure to be here today at the Power Up Forum, an event dedicated to help businesses like you unlock smarter energy solutions. So without further ado, let me begin my presentation. It's a pleasure, in today's fast-paced business environment, managing costs while staying sustainable is more important than ever. And one major cost driver is the electricity. But what if I told you there are smarter ways to manage and optimize your energy usage, solutions that can lower your cost, improve operational efficiency, and drive long term savings? Allow me to introduce Meralco Energy Inc. or MSERV, a wholly owned subsidiary of Meralco, AAA PCAB licensed company with ISO 14001:2015 and 9001:2015 certification, and one of the largest and trusted electromechanical contractors in the Philippines. And as an ESCO, we are committed to help companies like yours optimize energy efficiency, minimize waste, and reduce operational costs through tailored fit solutions. So, how can we help you become energy efficient? At MSERV, we follow this project lifecycle or energy efficiency initiatives followed by a structured approach to ensure optimal performance. Starting with the energy audit or audit and advisory phase, which establishes benchmark measurements of your facility and helps identify the current efficiencies of your equipment. Once we determine the components that need improvement, we proceed to the design and build phase, implementing tailored fit solutions based on the audit findings and align with the industry standards. To ensure the effectiveness of the installed solution, we implement a centralized monitoring system equipped with IoT-enabled devices. This system provides real-time visualization and analysis of critical energy data, playing a key role in tracking performance and supporting energy efficiency initiatives, including monitoring of your energy consumption. Proper operations and maintenance are essential in sustaining a reliable and efficient system and compliance with industry standards. Maintenance can be scheduled through quarterly or annual basis depending on the client's requirements. Through this holistic approach, businesses can achieve maximum energy savings while maintaining operational efficiencies. And MServe, as certified ESCO, we can also help your business comply with the RA 11285, also known as the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act, ensuring adherence to regulatory requirements following these three levels of audits. But before we deep dive, let me first give you a quick overview of an energy audit is and how it can benefit your facility. An energy audit is a structured process that evaluates a facility energy consumption to identify inefficiencies, detect energy waste, and recommend cost-saving solutions. It provides a comprehensive analysis of how energy is used, helping businesses pinpoint opportunities to improve efficiency and reduce costs. Through an energy audit, companies can identify sources of energy waste in equipment, lighting, HVAC systems, and operations, optimize energy consumption by implementing system upgrades, automation, retrofitting, or any adjustments, lower cost with energy saving measures, enhance sustainability by minimizing carbon footprint, and ensuring compliance with energy standards. Energy audits are conducted at three levels: the level one or the walkthrough analysis, an assessment that identifies low cost and no cost opportunities for immediate energy savings. Level two, energy survey and analysis, a more detailed evaluation that includes equipment inventory, energy usage patterns, and cost analysis using statistical methods and testing. And last one, the level three, detailed analysis of intensive modifications, also known as the IGA. It focuses on the long-term and high-impact improvements identified in the level two. I believe the classifications of designated establishments per sector were already discussed by by Director Patrick of DOE. So, since we have established a baseline or completed the assessment of your facility, I'd like to share some key solutions with you, starting with the HVAC system. To optimize your HVAC system and reduce cost, Usage or installation of oil-free magnetic chillers offers at least 20 to 50% greater efficiency than traditional oil-filled chillers by using magnetic bearings, eliminating the need for lubrication, and significantly lowering the maintenance. Oil-free magnetic chiller has multiple compressors per chiller, providing unparalleled redundancy. Variable frequency drives or VFD systems adjust power consumption based on the demand, reducing peak energy usage and unnecessary power consumption. For large-scale cooling district systems, utilizes central chiller plant and piping network to efficiently distribute cooling across multiple buildings. And unlike traditional ACs that operate on a fixed speed compressor, an inverter AC continuously regulates power consumption to maintain the desired temperature. This dynamic adjustment ensures efficiently cooling without frequent on and off cycles, make it more efficient option. Next key solution is the lighting. For better optimization at MSER, we provide innovative lighting solutions that enhance energy efficiency and reduce cost. For LED lighting, utilizes the latest technology to deliver superior brightness with significant lower energy consumption. Our LED streetlights come with dimming capabilities, optimizing energy usage while maintaining safety and visibility. For even smarter energy management, our smart lighting solutions incorporate automation, real-time monitoring, automatic and on-off features, dimming controls, and occupancy sensors, ensuring that lighting is used when only needed. Introducing as well the MServe E360 dashboard, our cloud-based platform designed to integrate all of your energy management applications in one place. With E360, businesses can gain real-time insights into their energy consumption, helping identify inefficiency and optimize performance. This smart data-driven solutions empowers you to take full control of your energy usage anywhere basta may internet access and ensuring a more efficient and sustainable operations. This analytics platform helps facility to record their daily, monthly consumption and operation, identifies areas of improvement, and aims to visualize highest consuming equipment on your facility. We deploy IoT devices and smart meter even up to upstream of HVSG or high voltage switchgear and down to distribution panels. This is a cloud-based platform solution as long as may internet access. You can access the dashboard through your phones, laptop, desktop, and anywhere. And also your tenants can also access the dashboard. So for better appreciation, here's the sample summary page of the dashboard of our 17 and 18 floor office located at Marco Polo. So you can easily access the real-time data and historical trend, and this charts, this data also can be exported to an Excel file. So another key feature of the E360 dashboard is its ability to monitor air quality data within the workplace. So users can view the real-time readings of temperature, humidity, carbon dioxide levels, air pollutants, and particulate matter. The E360 dashboard offers a range of benefits, which includes improvements on the visibility and understanding and transparency, allowing teams to monitor key metrics in real time. The dashboard simplifies data collection po and make it easier to gather, analyze, and interpret critical information. With access to smarter data-driven insights, organizations can make more informed decisions. And additionally, it streamlines po corporate reporting, which is aligned with our RA 11285, the annual reporting of your energy consumptions. So the reporting is more automated na po and um, kahit mabilis yung turnover sa company, makakapag-generate sila ng mga consumptions over the years. So, It reduces yung overhead consumption, overhead expenses by optimizing resources allocation and identifying inefficiencies. So overall, the EE360 dashboard empowers businesses with the tools they need to operate more effectively and strategically. So with MServe E360, managing energy has never been easier. So for electrical solutions, MServe provides comprehensive maintenance services to ensure efficiency and reliability and extended lifespan to critical equipment. Our expertise covers electrical powerhouse equipment, including high and low voltage switchgears, transformers, power cables, bus ducts, capacitor bank, generator set, and distribution lines. It also helps businesses maintain stable and safer power systems. We also specialize in mechanical and auxiliary equipment such as chillers, cooling towers, air handling units, fan coil units, and fire detection and alarm system or the FTAS, ensuring optimal performance and safety compliance po. So, as typhoon season approaches, well maintained electrical and mechanical equipment plays a crucial role in ensuring safety, reliability, and uninterrupted operations. So, regular generator maintenance guarantees a dependable backup power source during grid blackouts, keeping essential systems running. Routine tree trimming helps prevent electrical faults by reducing the risk of falling branches coming from or coming into connect with the power lines. Additionally, regular inspection ensure that moisture-prone areas are properly sealed and equipped with waterproof covers, protecting electrical equipment from water damage. And lastly, the proper grounding and bonding further enhance safety by preventing electrical shocks, minimizing equipment failure. By proactively maintaining your systems, businesses can enhance resilience, reduce risks, and ensure continued operations even during severe weather conditions. Next one is the power quality analysis. It is essential in assessing the efficiency and reliability of an electrical system. This process measures and verifies key parameters such as voltage, current, real and apparent power, reactive power, load profile, harmonic distortion and interruption, fluctuations, and power factor. By analyzing these factors, businesses can identify power quality issues, prevent potential equipment failures, and optimize energy usage. Ensuring high quality power not only improves system performance but also enhances electrical safety. Next one is the power system analysis. It also plays a key role in ensuring both energy efficiency and electrical safety. By performing short circuit calculations, load flow simulations, protection device coordination, and arc flash analysis, facilities can optimize their power systems for enhanced safety and reliable and cost savings. Proper coordination or of protective devices minimizes downtime by isolating faults without disrupting the entire system, ensuring continuous operations, and additionally, a well-optimized power system prevents unnecessary energy losses, reduces strain on equipment, and helps power electricity costs. By investing in power system analysis, businesses can achieve safer, more efficient, and cost effective operations while ensuring compliance with the industry. At MServe, we go beyond monitoring by providing 24/7 on-call support, equipped with complete testing and diagnosing tools to address any electrical concerns immediately. Our seasoned electrical engineers and practitioners conduct thorough inspections and maintenance, ensuring that your system remains safe and efficient. With access to heavy equipment and a vast network of electrical suppliers, we guarantee the availability of essential components, minimizing downtime and reducing the risk of unexpected failures. By offering end-to-end solutions, we help businesses prevent unexpected power outage, maintain compliance with safety standards, and create more resilient and fire-safe electrical infrastructure. We believe that energy efficiency shouldn't be a luxury. And that's it. Thank you everyone for your time. And if you would like to explore MServe services, and how we can help you to achieve energy efficiency. For consultations or schedule product presentation, feel free to email us at info@meralcoenergy.com. And we look forward to working with you toward a brighter, smarter, and energy efficient future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mirando Arroyo. So here's again the most awaited portion for every presentation. So we come now to our fourth and last trivia question based on Ms. Mirando's presentation. So for our fourth trivia question, give one energy efficiency solution that MServe offers. So again, give one energy efficiency solution that MServe offers. Go ahead and type in your answer. First one to send the correct answer wins a prize. Okay? Maraming pumapasok na answers in our chat box. So actually, marami yung solutions that MServe offers. So without further ado, we go now with the correct answers. So we have EE360, Energy Audit Compliance with RA 11285, electrical solutions such as preventive maintenance, power quality, power system analysis, and 24/7 emergency works. We also have HVAC solutions such as preventive maintenance, oil-free magnetic chillers, variable frequency drive systems, district cooling system, inverter system, and for our lighting solutions, we have LED lighting and street light and smart lighting. So thank you so much for your active participation. Please stay tuned as our trivia winners will be announced before the end of our program. And with that, I believe our audience has already posted some comments and questions directed to our speakers. So this brings us now to our panel discussion. So without further ado, let us call back our speakers, Engineer Mark Maroliano, Director Patrick Aquino, Engineer Cholo Pabilona, and Ms. Janet Mirando Arroyo for our panel discussion. Okay, so good afternoon again, gentlemen, and then Miss Janet. So actually, we received a lot of comments and questions and clarifications from our audience. So for the first question, we have it directed to Engineer Mark Maroliano. So the question from our audience is, what contributed to the YTD reduction on the Luzon grid peak demand compared to last year? So again, the question is, what contributed to the YTD reduction on the Luzon grid peak demand compared to last year? So please take it away, Engineer Mark.
Yes, thank you, Gian, for sharing that question. Yeah. As I have mentioned earlier, last year we experienced El Nino that is the main contributor of having the 14,016 megawatt all-time high peak demand for the Luzon grid. But right now, based on our monitoring of the demand, we are now at 12,500. So we still have 1,500 megawatts difference or buffer from the previous demand. So most likely this is attributed to the weather, despite that we experience early signs of summer. Nagkaroon tayo ng mataas na high heat index as early as March. But based on our monitoring, hindi pa siya ganun kataas. Kaya hindi pa natin na-reach yung hindi pa natin na-reach yung demand na achieve ng Luzon grid last year, which is 14,000. So and also probably this can be if the energy efficiency and conservation program being implemented by the large customers can be, though I don't have the data right now, but probably since we have the program implemented by Meralco and also the Department of Energy is pushing for that, we are hoping that this are the factors that that causes the demand na hindi pa siya ganun kataas at this point, at 12.5 at the end of March. So hoping na yon hindi siya tawag dito, we are as I have presented earlier, then we are expecting 14,700 megawatts of demand for 2025. So that's 7,700 megawatts increase from last year. So we're closely monitoring on that with the development ng weather and pati yung mga papasok ng mga power plants, if those will be factors para if we will be breaching again the demand na 14,000, or we will be having a lower demand this 2025. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Engineer Mark Maruliano, for that very insightful answer to our question. So if I get it right, so basically summing up your presentation kanina for the power outlook for 2025, we have a good outlook. Kaya we have also a reduced peak demand compared to last year. All right. Thank you again, sir. So for our second question, this is addressed to Director Patrick Aquino. So, Director Patrick, the question from our audience reads, do we still need to conduct an energy audit for the submission of the report on April 15, 2025? So again, the question is, do we still need to conduct an energy audit for the submission of the report on April 15, 2025? So
Yeah,
please take it away.
thank you for the question. We actually issued an advisory last February 5 on the matter. Now, if you're a first time covered, you've not done the audit, let me just go through what's the requirements. For if you're type 1, energy audits conducted by a certified energy auditor in-house will be accepted, but it will be subject to DOE evaluation. If you're classified as types 2 and 3, again, your in-house energy audit by a certified energy auditor is allowed, but this time it will be validated by a DOE registered or certified energy service company, ESCO, another certified energy auditor, or a firm partnership corporation sole proprietorship that's registered with us. Again, energy audit reports will be validated by those ESCO, SEA, and FPCS. Will cover a validation certificate, which you will include in your submission in the DE online submission portal at de.doe.gov.ph. It will include the date of the validation, the one who did the audit, the signature and certification, including a recommendation for submission to the DOE. It will be attached together with your annual energy efficiency and conservation report and annual energy utilization report.
All right. Thank you, Director Patrick. So I hope that will help address in complying by our audience. So in compliance with the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act. So thank you again, sir. So for our next question, this is addressed to the Meralco's Power Lab Manager, Engineer Cholo. So the question from our audience reads, how can we conduct energy assessment if we don't have in-house capabilities? So again, how can we conduct energy assessment if we don't have in-house capabilities? So please take it away, Engineer Cholo.
Yes, Gian. Actually, to continue, binanggit lang ni Director Patrick, no, similar din yung answer. You can top with any certified energy auditor or any registered or certified ESCO such as MServ to help you with your energy audit requirement and for the submission on April 15. So, yan. Kung wala kayong in-house, you can outsource naman po yung ating services. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that brief and concise answer, Engineer Cholo. So for our next question, this is addressed to MServ's account manager, Ms. Janet. So the question reads, how do variable frequency drives contribute to energy savings? So again, how do variable frequency drives contribute to energy savings? Ms. Janet, please.
Thank you, Gia. No? So, by installing VFDs, it adjusts yung speed and power consumption of motors based on the demand and rather than running at full capacity at all times. So, VFD reduces peak energy usage and minimize yung unnecessary power consumption and extend yung lifespan ng motors. So, it by using VFDs, which leads to significant costs and savings and efficiency program improvements. So for sample quotations, no, we need your existing chillers and motor specifications, and our team we will conduct a walkthrough on your facility po to check and assess yung condition po nung chiller and motors. So, yun, feel free to reach out na lang din po for sample quotations. Thank you, Gian.
All right, thank you, Ms. Janet. So it seems that our audience is interested on one of the MServ's energy services and solutions. So that's the VFD. So for our next question, this is again addressed to Engineer Cholo. So the question is, may I ask how can we optimize our power factor? Our monthly power factor is around 53%. Is it the basis on our high rate per kilowatt hour?
Yes, Gian. Actually, if you want to optimize your power factor, ang usual po na solution natin dyan is installing capacitor banks. So, ang best way po is to approach a electric contractor that can provide a PQA to validate po yung ating or yung power quality assessment para ma-validate natin kung yung 53% yung talagang basis natin for the power factor correction and para sa sizing ng ating capacitor bank. And kapag po na-assess na yun ng ating mga electrical contractors, they will recommend yung solution, yung right size ng ating capacitor bank in order to reach po yung 99 or 1 power factor. Based po naman sa high rate ng inyong kilowatt hour, actually, ang power factor po, yung minemaintain natin is 85%. Actually, you're being penalized right now. For every 1% po na hindi kayo nag-reach dun sa 85%, meron kayong penalty. Makikita nyo siya sa inyong bill. On the backside of your electric bill, usually makikita mo din yung power factor na penalties. Ganun din naman po, kapag naman po above kayo sa 85%, Meralco actually gives an incentive for every 1%, then mas mataas kayo sa 85%. So it can really help you, lalo na po yung 53%, madali nyo mababawi yung i-invest nyo for capacitor bank sa ganyang setup. So it is best po to consult na immediately an electrical contractor such as MServ to help you with the installation of capacitor bank and hopefully mapababa po natin yung inyong monthly consumption or yung bill. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Engineer Cholo. So for that naman, interested yung audience natin on power factor correction. By having a good power factor also has incentives on your monthly Meralco bill. All right, so let's proceed to our next question, which is intended for the Director Patrick. So our question from the audience for Director Patrick is, what is the penalty for not allowing energy efficiency management practices?
Well, there's no penalty for not doing energy management practices. What we have are obligations outlined in the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act, RA 11285. But as the DOE has been communicating, what we would be preferring is compliance. But in the event and off chance that you do not comply, there's a process by which we will be dispensing the administrative fines and penalties. The penalties will include a fine of anywhere from 50,000 all the way to 1,000,000 pesos. But again, what we're stressing is that energy efficiency, energy management is something that's also beneficial for businesses. It's good for the environment. So compliance is what we're after. But if you're interested to know, yeah, the penalty is a fine starting at 50,000 pesos. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that clarification, Director Patrick. So with that, we have to be energy efficient, not just to help ourselves, our businesses, but as well as to have a more sustainable development for our Earth. All right, so for our next question, this is directed again for Engineer Mark Maroliano of DOE. So the question reads, with the increasing integration of renewable energy or RE, particularly solar, into the grid, how is the DOE addressing concerns about power reliability for businesses? What is, sorry, what is the government's contingency plan if the solar and wind projects expected to come online in the next 2 years will be delayed or will not push through? How will stable power supply be ensured? So, Engineer Mark, please.
Yeah, thank you, Gian, again for that question. Medyo marami ang mga tanong, pero sige. Ano ang ginagawa po ng Department of Energy? Yeah, to answer that question, it's really as soon as presented naman kanina sa ating presentation on the outlook, you have seen about 4,800 megawatts of committed power projects that are expected to be online this year sa Luzon grid. So that's a lot to cover hopefully yung increase ng demand natin for 2025, and we'll have enough or more than enough reserve in the coming years. So and in the next few years, hoping that they will be available and operational as scheduled. So it's really for the DOE, it's really the development of the private sector initiated power project is still our go-to option para to ensure yung reliability ng power reliability, especially sa mga businesses gaya ng mga customers under Meralco. So in ensuring the stability, saying may mga projects na hindi mag-online, so the Department of Energy is looking for ways to somehow fast track the development of the project. We evaluate them. We check the status of the project one by one. We check if this project can be fast track or expedited para po ma-meet yung in case na magkaroon ng tawag dito, yung parang sasalo sa hindi mag-online na mga solar and wind power projects. Just in case nga na mangyari yun in the next 2 years. And also, aside from that, in terms, that's for the generation sector, but aside from that, we are also working with NGCP in terms of fast tracking the transmission development, since this transmission facility serves as highway para sa ating mga power projects para ma-deliver yung mga powers nila sa mga load centers like Meralco. So if there are issues like right-of-ways and LGU concerns na naghihinder or somehow nagko-cause ng delay sa development, the DOE works on that. We have an committee, the ad hoc committee on transmission projects led by our Undersecretary Sharon Garin para ma-facilitate yung pag-address ng mga issues, mga transmission concerns at mawala yung mga obstacles para po fast track yung construction at development po yung transmission. So both generation and transmission facilities are moving on their development at ma-meet po yung mga expected timeline po nila.
Okay, so thank you, Sir Mark, for answering that question. So, well, actually, we all look forward to having those programs and projects of DOE implemented soonest with its timeline. So let's look forward to that positively. So again, maraming salamat, Sir Mark. For our next question, this is intended for Engineer Cholo of Meralco Power Lab. So the question reads, with regards to Meralco's peak-off-peak rate, is the rate shown in the slide just an example, or is this the actual rate and is this fixed? Is this the total rate?
And To answer lang po dun sa question, yung pinakita ko yun is just an example. So it's still varying depende po dun sa actual generation rates natin. Pero yung rate po niya ng difference, which is around 49 to 50% is usually nare-retain. So if you're going to avail yung peak off-peak natin na solution, definitely kaya po natin mapababa yung inyong energy rates by almost 50% on average. Pero it changes po, depende po dun sa actual generation rates natin for that month.
All right. Thank you, Engineer Cholo, for that clarification. So for our next question, this is addressed to Director Patrick. So the question from our audience says, Director, are there incentives offered to designated establishments in the commercial, industrial, and transportation sectors under the Energy Efficiency Act? And how are these incentives designed to drive tangible improvements in energy efficiency?
Sige, to answer the question, we do have several issuances already. That's Department Circular DC 2021-05-0011 and DC 2022-03-004. So there are energy efficiency projects. You get an endorsement from the DOE. Once endorsed, it's transmitted to the Board of Investments, and the Board of Investments is the one that administers it. We always remind everybody to make sure that you get the approval from the BOI before implementing the project. So how do we incentivize it? If it's an energy efficiency strategic investment project, up to 50% of the capital expenditure is recoverable by way of income tax holiday. So depending on the tier, if it's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, you're able to recover again up to 50% of the capital expenditure for the energy efficiency that you've demonstrated. There's 12 categories indicated in those circulars, particularly the DC 2022-03-004. All you have to do is choose one and demonstrate it. It's a very straightforward process. From the complete submission of the checklist also included in the circular, 20 working days. So that's what I'm saying. And then to answer some of the concerns, yes, we do have stable power. Yes, the entry of renewable energy will cause some possible disruptions. But what the DOE has been doing and working with the Energy Regulatory Commission has been coming out with an enabling framework to make sure that solutions like energy storage come in, to make sure that the processing is on time through the Energy Virtual One-Stop Shop or EVOSS.ph. So our assurance to the public is that what you can do to help us, and thank you for already doing it, because for the past 2 years, based on our monitoring, people have been purchasing 60% of the time energy efficient cooling systems, so inverter type, refs, inverter type, air conditioners. That might also be the reason why we have lower than expected demand, because good job to our audience. You are taking a look at the energy labels, you are listening to what's being discussed here, and you're purchasing the energy efficient options, at least from the data that we have. Again, 60% of products, particularly on cooling and cooling. When I speak of cooling ref, aircon, 60% that's already been purchased in the last 2 years is already inverter. So that also is a major contributor, as shown by our colleagues who made earlier presentations as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Director Patrick, for that very insightful answer to the question from our audience. So indeed, we have to work hand in hand, not just by ourselves, but with the entire committee and the stakeholders to become more energy efficient. So it's good to know that we have already good numbers on the purchases of the energy efficient appliances and devices. So basically, that's the last question. And then before we end this panel discussion, maybe ask for some few parting words and insights from our panelists, starting with Mr. Engineer Mark Maroliano of DOE, please.
Thank you, Gian, and to all the attendees of this forum, we'd like to thank Meralco for inviting the Department of Energy, the Electric Power Industry Management Bureau, for sharing the power outlook. So you have now the information regarding the situation that we will be facing this coming summer, this coming election, and for the entire 2025. So we are looking forward for your partnership in terms of how you will work on the programs the DOE and Meralco has presented earlier, how are you going to work that out in your respective establishments and companies. So yun po, we are looking forward for your pagtutulungan po natin to, both for DOE and Meralco, and also our the customers, para po maitawid matawid, but we'll have better outlook, Luzon Power outlook, this 2025. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Mark Maroliano. And then secondly, may we ask for Director Patrick Aquino, please.
Yeah, of course, for the part of the DOE, we always remind everyone that energy efficiency starts with you. Sorry, I'll say it again. So we always say you have the power, energy efficiency starts with you. Sama-sama po tayo sa bagong Pilipinas. Thank you.
All right, maraming salamat, Director Patrick Aquino. And then next, please, from Meralco Power Lab, Engineer Cholo Pabilona.
Yes, I would just like to thank everyone again who joined this webinar, and I hope that you gain some valuable insights that you can apply to your businesses. I would just like to remind everyone that even the small changes in our energy management can lead to a significant savings and part of our sustainability. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Engineer Cholo. And then lastly, from MServe, we have Ms. Janet Mirando Arroyo.
Thank you, Gian. And on behalf of Meralco Energy Inc., we would like to thank Meralco and our guests for allowing us to introduce MServe and to share some tips on improving energy efficiency. Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much to our speakers for the valuable information they have shared with us today. Another round of applause, please, for Mr. Mark, Director Patrick, Engineer Cholo, and Ms. Janet. We hope our audience learned a lot from today's session that they can bring back to their respective businesses and offices. So for those of you who have questions that were not addressed during the Q&A session, we'll be reaching out to you after the program. You may also encode your concern or request through our concerns form via the link posted in our chat box, or you may scan the QR code flashed on screen. In case you have other power-related inquiries, you may reach out to us through the channels being flashed on screen. And with that, thank you everyone for being such a receptive and cooperative audience. I hope you have been enlightened by our distinguished guests in this afternoon. So with that, thank you for joining us today. We hope to see you again in the next Meralco Power Up live session. So this has been Gian Zapata, and have a pleasant day, everyone.